All right, I'll call the Appropriations Committee meeting to order. We've got a couple of items that are not on your agenda. I want to go ahead and take care of those at the outset. These are bills that you've seen before. One of them is the transfer bill, House Bill 1705. As most of you know that have been around here for a while, we typically keep open both transfer bills, Senate and House versions, to have available for the end of session. So this is the House's version of it, same, I think it's the exact same as ours, and it does have a reverse repealer in it. I'll yield for questions. If none, the motion is titled sufficient do pass. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Oh, I'm sorry. My motion, I apologize. Strike all. What's that? It's just well. Okay, the strike all included the reverse repealer, so my apologies. The motion would be first to adopt the strike all. Senator McCon moves adoption of the strike all. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now final passage. Motion title sufficient do pass. Committee sub. All in favor or strike all. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Ethan. And the second one is House Bill 1704. This is one of the correction or fixes bills that we've got. It's actually the same language we passed on the floor a couple of weeks ago. This relates to those items that I went through in detail with you, the various things that need to be changed. The only difference in the House bill is in Section 3, the funds that we had last year, we appropriated $3 million to Alcorn State University for some repairs, renovations, and expansion in the Davie L. Whitney complex. And if you're familiar with that campus, they have a lot of their classrooms and their athletics there and a lot of things. And they had requested authority to also include some of the furnishings and equippings in that. And they were afraid to spend the money because it did not include things like office and conference room, desk and chairs and seating and display systems, et cetera. So this would give them the authority to utilize those funds at the Whitney Center. I'll yield for questions. Seeing, hearing none, the motion is titled sufficient to pass. Committee sub. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And then you'll see on your agenda, we have 4 items, 3162 through 3165 that deal with ARPA. And I'll recognize Senator Polk to explain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to take up 3162, 63, 64, and 65 in block.
Any questions about the motion, or do you see any that you want to set aside individually before we vote on the motion to take them up in block? Seeing none, the motion to take them up in block is before you. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Senator Polk, you're recognized to explain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason I want to do it in block is we're talking about $180 million in total. There are 4 bills that say where that will go. These are the funds that we feel like we will be getting back from agencies that have not been able to spend it in a timely manner and meet the deadlines that the federal government has set upon us. So if you'll look at your bills, I'll quickly go over the 4 of them, which total $180 million. First in the packet is 3162. This is for a mental health facility for Canopy Children's Solutions. They're offering and will build a facility that'll have, I think, eventually about 80 beds in it. And with the state ARPA funds, which would match the ability to spend them for that, it says that to receive these funds, they have to give first preference to individuals who are under the care of the Department of Mental Health and Child Protection Services, and provide that a minimum of 33 of the facility's beds are for Department of Mental Health and CPS patients. That's what the first 20 million would do. Secondly, we have Bill 3163. This one is for $20 million, and this would defray the expenses that are being incurred by the state right now under a contract through DFA to be able to review all the contracts, all the spending of the ARPA funds to ensure that they are meeting all federal requirements. We feel like it's going to be a bill of about 25 million, but right now we want to put 20 million of the ARPA funds to that payment, which will get us pretty close to full payment. Third is 3164. This is for $60 million that will go to the building of Bureau of Buildings under DFA. As you know, we spent quite a bit of money, appropriated quite a bit of money 2 years ago to start the renovation of a lot of the different projects that the building of Bureau of Buildings had in mind, and will help Mississippi move forward with expenses that we would have otherwise had to have paid out of the general fund. This $60 million will go to several different agencies, mainly, or not mainly, but also including Department of Corrections, who have several identified needs. And then lastly is 3165. This is $80 million, and this goes to the Department of Transportation. Our ARPA subcommittee met several times, and this was one of the premier projects that we felt met the criteria of ARPA funds, helps everyone in the state, and also moves things forward in what we want to do infrastructure wise. So $80 million would be spent, but the way it would be spent is all the monies would go to the maintenance program of the MDOT 3-year plan for the period beginning upon the passage of this act and ending June 30, 2025. Now you say, well, do I have anything in that plan? Yes, you do. And what we would spend the $80 million on would move every project in the plan up. So you might not get what we call ARPA dollars, but you would be able to get your project approved more quickly because of the ARPA dollars. All 4 of these bills have reverse repealers. And so, but they do, when we finally get to an end game here, they will become law on final passage. I'll be glad to entertain any questions.
Okay, questions. Senator Hill, you're recognized for a question.
On the Canopy Center, 2 questions. First of all, where will it be located? And second question is, you said 80 beds, but you said only 33 have to be reserved for Department of Mental Health and Child Protection Services. So what the remaining 47 beds
Thank you,
are for?
Thank you, Senator Hill. I'll try to address that. Let me first on that issue let you know that Canopy, CPS, and mental health all came together to talk to us about this need. And frankly, the need is for there's a group of kind of teenage adolescents that are falling between the cracks within CPS that are having mental health issues. So what they want to do is to create a space for those kids to go in a safe, good environment where they can learn and be protected. Right now, this is sad to admit, but there are some kids that go into hotel rooms, and we're spending, last year we spent over $2 million alone on kids that have to go to hotel rooms that have to be monitored by CPS staff. So we want to get them into a much better environment. They have Canopy, and I want to make sure I get this right. Canopy's actually going to have, with the addition, there's going to be 20 new beds. They've got 60 older beds, and they want to move 30 of the old beds, kind of keep those separate. They want to put 20 new ones and renovate 30 new ones over here at the place off of West Street. I think that's West Street. You know, Canopy, it's West and Woodrow Wilson. Is that, I think, where it is? I'll get some head nods. And so it'll be at that facility. And CPS likes it because they've got kids falling the crack. Mental health has got a need to get some of those kids into more specialized care. And so all 3 of them came to see us together on that. And the idea was to commit out of the 50 new beds they'd be renovating and building new out of the funds that we provide, that we'd require 2/3 of that. So 33 of the new beds would be guaranteed for CPS and mental health. It may be that we get all 50 beds, or maybe even more on some of the old beds, that we even have more kids going there too. But we wanted to make sure that we prioritize at least 2/3 being in the for CPS and mental health. Does that answer your questions? I think most of those are getting like Medicaid if they get anything in private. Yeah. Thank you, Senator Hill. Questions? Senator Parker first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few questions. First one, following up on what Senator Hill said there. So will this be a new Canopy Center to fill the void of, I think it's level 4 and 5 kids that we don't have any place for in the state.
I don't know if the level, that may be right on the levels, but I don't know if your Corbin tell me subacute level of care, whatever level that looks like, it's to be level 4, yes.
Right, so it takes it up because I know right now we have instances where judges across the state are ordering that certain at-risk kids in particular are put in particular level facilities, and they're large sums of money that are going towards that in the order, and a lot of them are going, for example, in Tennessee or other states. And so my hope would be that what we're doing here is we're also, trying to fill that void that we have in the state. And it sounds like that is the case if Corbin is nodding in the affirmative here. So that was my first question. The second one is on the transportation portion of the ARPA. You mentioned all maintenance, so none of that 80 million is going towards capacity in any way, shape, or form. So what, if any, impact does applying 80 million of this in this form towards maintenance have on any of the potential capacity decisions that we might make during this session?
I don't believe it would have any. I mean, this would just make sure that we have funding for the current program that we have in the 2023. Yeah.
I'll add one thing to it, Senator Pope. Look, the one thing that we know from MDOT, they can get out. We have to have this obligated and spent pretty quickly. Capacity can create some problems in that area. So maintenance, they've told us that they can move very quickly on that. So, it's a lot easier to repave a road than it is build a whole new road and get it done. Get it committed, bid out, and finished.
Well, my hope would be that by applying some of this for that need there, that in one way, shape, or form, this may be a question for the commissioner, would be, if we apply this here, I would hope that there would be some move towards also the capacity functions being addressed quicker too. But I'll share that question with him. And then the final one is, in the reappropriation of the ARPA funds, I assume this is all of the ARPA funds that have come back. So this is all of DEQ and anything that's coming back total with ARPA that we're reappropriating here, correct?
Well, we reappropriated, what was that, last week, the funds that hadn't been spent yet. Now these are the funds that the projects that we feel like are not going to be able to be obligated and finished in time based on the information we have. So, and that's still a little bit fluid. I mean, we don't know the exact number. I think Senator Polk alluded to that earlier. I mean, before this becomes final, we're going to try to get it as tight and pinpointed as we can. But and we'll have a place that'll be something we'll need to discuss, where if there's any additional funds that fall in last minute or that can't be spent by a certain time frame, where will those go? But these are we feel fairly confident that these are dollars that won't be able to be spent.
But this is all the ARPA dollars, correct?
Yes, correct.
This is the sum total. So if we're
subject to some change, that we found out here in the last couple of weeks. Yes.
So if we had some need regarding ARPA funds and it doesn't fit in these categories, the decision is that there will be no action in ARPA funds towards that.
Whatever,
is that correct?
Yeah, whatever the final action is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Senator Parker. Senator Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple questions on the canopy. Who's going to own the building?
It'll be Canopy.
Are they a governmental agency?
No.
So we're going to give $20 million to a private company?
Well, we feel like that's a better, spending it out at, I don't think we can do what they're trying to do and provide those services like they can by doing something individually. And also, I think they're further along to be able to do this, to make sure that we get, this is what I would call a public-private partnership, and maybe an opportunity for them to, they're far enough along to get this going, get it obligated and spent in time, and then We can use those facilities. The state will be able to use those facilities.
I can certainly understand the private-public partnership, but building a building for a private company and basically giving it to them, who's going to maintain it? Is that-
Canopy will.
And I also take, since they're adding new beds, we're going to bypass the CON process with this?
They've already got it.
They already have it? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Blackwell. Somebody else have a question? Senator Branning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on Senate Bill 3165, the transportation bill. I notice on line 16, the wording that's used here is that it will go to the maintenance program of the MDOT 3-year plan. And I'm just wondering, is this a new special fund that's created, or will it work the same as the 2022 special fund that we created when we started putting additional state dollars into MDOT?
Senator Pope.
It will be the same.
Okay, so it will work the same as that special fund so that every dollar will go to maintenance and there won't be any dollars in administration or anything different.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Branning. Senator Turner Ford, be recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did I understand the explanation to be that it's going to cost about $20 million to monitor spending
Well,
of
this
ARPA
is,
funds?
yes, this is still part of the funding. I think previously we provided about $6 million. And the contract that DFA has with Horn, I believe it's Horn, is a percentage of the total amount of the ARPA funds that were allocated. And that number is $1.8 billion roughly. And I would point out too, that one of the things that was included in the contract is that Horn guaranteed in the contract that if any projects were not, were determined to be inadmissible, that Horn would take care of that. They would be on the hook and responsible for that. So that was part of the contractual arrangement that DFA entered into with Horn for the administration of the ARPA dollars.
And as it relates to Senate Bill 3164, which is, I guess, an appropriation for the Bureau of Buildings, DFA, will there be, is this amount to cover funding requests that have been previously submitted and were not funded? Or will there be an opportunity for additional requests to be submitted?
Some of those had previously been submitted, and the information that we've received from the Bureau of Buildings, I think it was $95 million of building requests that are eligible, that can be committed. Yes, $95 million that are eligible, and they feel very confident that they can get obligated and completed before the deadlines, obligated by the end of this year and completed by the end of 26. So that's what that 60 million is part of. That $95 million they said that they could get done.
And was this the fund that was accessed? I think like there were some requests submitted by community colleges, other institutions. Were they funded through this program?
Yes, there were the community college plan. I don't know if they had any on the guaranteed list. IHL's got a few on there. Mental health, MDOC's got several, and a couple of state-owned buildings. Wildlife has got one. Human Services has one.
And when would it be anticipated that we would have some sort of list of how the projects will be funded?
Oh, I don't know. We talked about that in the Appropriations Subcommittee group. I think hopefully here before too long, but any of these projects are eligible. There are a couple on here that I personally would like to see done more, but that's something that we may need to talk about if we want to prioritize as a legislature, prioritize which buildings to be done, or provide the funds to DFA with this full list of 95 million and make sure that they can get at least 60 million of that spent on these state buildings.
One last question.
Sure.
Are there any opportunities for wastewater sewer projects that have not been funded otherwise to submit a request for consideration?
Yes, well, there are a couple of those that are within MDOC and a couple within IHL. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ford. Other questions? Senator Barnett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is in regards to Senate Bill 3164, and I can't find it, but it's been mentioned several times about MDOC. So the amount that specifically that they're asking for and what are they asking for is my question. Being that they're asking for $500 million, almost a $500 million.
Yeah, I'll recognize Senator Polk to explain.
Okay. If I understand your question, Senator, there are many more needs out there than we're able to fund for sure. And the list that we have from them that would complete what we started with ARPA is $95 million. We feel like we can only approve 60 of that 95 right now. So if that answers your question, and we're trying to leave it as loose as we can, so the Bureau of Buildings can make the determination of what projects need to be finished the quickest and be the most complete.
So this $60 million, so there's no specific amount for the Bureau of Buildings or for MDOC. Was there not an amount that they asked for specifically that's part of this $60 million?
To my knowledge, there are a list of projects that they have, and DOC is on that list to some amount. But we're trying to leave it to where Bureau of Buildings can use the funds the best way possible to complete projects and do the things necessary to keep us ahead of the game.
Okay,
if you'll remember, 2 years ago, we appropriated quite a number of dollars for Department of Corrections. Remember?
I really wasn't part of the appropriation process then, but my question is, again, here, is that we know that we have some issues there. So my question is any of the monies that they're asking for now, is this money is any of this money is going to be used to help address some of the issues that we're facing with MDOC in regards to our facilities, or is this just specific to certain buildings other than our facilities that
we are expecting Bureau of Buildings to spend some dollars at DOC for sure.
I understand that.
But we are not demanding right now of what they spend it on at Department of Corrections or any other.
Is there any way that we can get a list of that? And the reason I'm asking is because Senator Blackwell asked a question earlier, totally separate, but he asked a question specific about the amount of money that was going to be given to Canopy. So we can identify areas like that on one particular building. Now, my question is, can we not identify, or can they not identify the buildings that they have and the costs that they have associated with that list that they're given to Department of
I would think we can.
Senator, based on what Bureau of Buildings has told us, there's a little over $60 million of requests for DOC that they feel like they could probably get done. Some of the things that you may be referencing, they don't think they can get done timely. There's some things at Department of Corrections that may not be able to get done within the time frame to ensure that it qualifies for ARPA. So we can take a look at some of the things. Doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to do those things, but we can take a look at some of the things they feel like they can get done. And I think you may be aware of some other things that they feel like could be needs in the correction system, but based on what Bureau of Buildings is saying, they don't think they can get those done timely to qualify for ARPA.
I I just hate to spend, I mean, whether it's ARPA money or just regular state money, but I would hate to give these monies or in areas where there is a want versus an area where there's a need. And I just want to make sure that we're putting our dollars to where it's most needed at in regards to MDOC versus more where it's most wanted at in MDOC.
Sure.
That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Barnett. Other questions? Senator McCon, you're recognized.
Very quickly, I know we've got 2 o'clock. Is there a clawback in any sense on 3162 in the event that Canopy does not fulfill their requirement under that?
If we've got a, we've talked about a date by which if the projects are not committed, and I need to get that date, if they're not
But I'm just talking
committed.
about the fact they're supposed to keep 30 some odd beds. If they fail to meet that over a time period and fall below that, do we have any type of recourse for the state?
As in all our ARPA bills, if the funds aren't used correctly for what we approve them for, there is a clawback.
Well, and at the end of the day, I guess my question goes a little bit further than that. We're saying we're going to give 20 million, but they've got to keep these beds available from this point forward. At what point do they fail to do that? And what is our recourse then? Is there reducing clawback at that point as far as the state? Because we've got requirements in there over the time period that you got to keep 33 beds available for us during this time period. What's that time period and at what point does that expire?
Yeah, there's no, that's indefinitely for the beds.
Indefinite. So-
Indefinitely, yes.
And as an attorney, I'm just sorry, I see bankruptcies happen for private entities. I see all kinds of things happen and it's no longer Canopy anymore. And it becomes somebody else and we're on the hook for giving $20 million. And we don't get our benefit like we're supposed to at the end of the day. So that's just my concern, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator McCon. Other questions? Got about 2 minutes. Seeing none, the motion is titled sufficient do pass. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Seeing no further business, Senator Polk, motion rise and report. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you.